welcome to the Josh Robinson Show. It's your favourite pocket-sized podcast. This week I have no guests. It is going to be a pocket-sized podcast. This isn't going to be a very long episode, but it's just something that I have on my brain. As everyone has seen on my Twitter feed in the last day, oh man, I have finished The Office, and I'm going to give you my full thoughts on everything like that on The Office in just a minute, because I'm just now in a funk because I've finished it after 3 weeks of watching it. But first and foremost, welcome everybody to this week on the Josh Robinson Show. I am Josh. I hope you're having a lovely day, or whatever time it is, a lovely night, evening, morning, whatever you're doing, whether you're out for a stroll this fine day, whether you're cleaning up your house, whether you're listening in the car. I don't know how you're listening to this, but I hope you are having a wonderful day, or have had a wonderful day. We're coming into the February now. It's already been 2020 for, it seems like forever now. It seems like so long since it was Christmas and New Year's, but it was only a month ago that it was all happening. But we are in the new year. It's been a crazy year already in the world and in life, but hey, we're all soldiering on. First thing I want to get to today is that the last, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I've been all over my social media. If you follow me on Twitter, you'll know that basically I'm a Hayley Williams stan account at the moment, because she has released solo stuff. Paramore is my all-time favorite band. I grew up with Paramore. I feel like Paramore have matured as much as I have, from being, 15, 16-year-old listening to Paramore to now 24 years old and listening to all their new ventures and stuff. But Hayley Williams released Simmer a few weeks ago, it's so obscure, the kind of music that she's releasing. I can't really pinpoint what genre it is, and that's my favorite thing, is not really, it doesn't fit into a bubble. I'm all about that. You know how I am with labels and fitting into certain things. It's like, no, just do your own thing and don't worry about what it's associated with or what it's kind of doing. But I knew that when Hayley announced that she was going solo, I was like, I don't want this. If she's going solo, I don't want this to sound like Paramore, because it's very easy for her to just make music that sounds like Paramore. I want it to be different, but I also don't want it to just be bad. And it's none of those things, which is great. I didn't know she was going to go down just like she could easily just make some pop music and be happy and fine, but she's been through a lot in her life, from my understanding, so she's making this different kind of music. And she released a couple of days ago Petals for Armor 1, Petals for Armor is the album that's coming out on May 8th, but she released an EP to give us a little taste of what Petals for Armor is going to sound like. 5 tracks: Simmer, Leave It Alone, Cinnamon, Creepin', and Sudden Desire. All distinctly different from one another, all really fun, all really just something different, deep, meaningful, non-genre defined music, and it's really obscure, and I love it. And that's what I've just been blasting since Friday, since it came out. I've just been like, Petals for Armor, Petals for Armor, Petals for Armor. That's been my mentality of whenever I'm in the shower. I listen to music a lot in the shower. I think it's just great. I love going for a walk, just headphones, blasting music as loud as you possibly can, and just walking with no real direction of where you're going, just going for a walk. That's my favorite thing to do, and Hayley Williams has been that for me. Like I said before, Paramore is just something that I've grown up with. The music's changed in Paramore to how I've changed with, I'm not really listening to the same stuff on a constant basis when I was 16 as I am now. I've grown up, they've grown up, their sound's developed, it's all evolved, and I think I've just evolved with it. But it's just been so different to hear Hayley Williams on these press tours and watch interviews on YouTube, and she's not promoting a Paramore album, she's promoting Petals for Armor. She's promoting something that is hers. It's different, and it's really fun. I've just been really enjoying Petals for Armor 1. So if I'm gonna, recommend anyone doing anything this week, for someone, if you like Paramore for one, and you followed Hayley Williams and Taylor York and Zach Farrow and all the previous band members or whatever, but if you're someone that likes something a little bit different, that you can't really fit into a bubble of music, I would suggest going to your favorite streaming music place and listening to Petals for Armor 1, the EP. It's 5 tracks, like I said before, and it's really, really, really good. Listen to it a few times before you judge it. That's how I did. For anyone wondering, if anyone is listening to Petals for Armor 1, what am I digging the most? I would probably say Cinnamon. I didn't really understand it at first. I'm like, this is really weird, this song. And then listening to it a few times, I'm like, this is actually a really great track. So I'm really digging Cinnamon, Sudden Desire, Simmer, Leave It Alone, and Creepin'. They're all really good, but Cinnamon is probably my favourite from the 5, which on first listen, I wouldn't have thought it would be, but I think it is. But I'm really just enjoying it, so that's what I'm kind of listening to at the moment. I'm just listening to a lot of Petals for Armor. Now onto the main subject of this episode of the Josh Robinson Show. Oh boy, The Office. I started watching The Office 3 weeks and 1 day ago. And every day for the last 3 weeks and 1 day, every meal that I've had has been accompanied, every meal in my home has been accompanied by The Office. Every coming home from work, if I'm working till 9, 10 o'clock at night, I'm coming home to watch The Office. I'm binging my days off, The Office. If I'm not watching wrestling, I was watching The Office. That's pretty much what was happening with my life for the last 3 weeks and 1 day. And today I did finish it. And now I'm in just this funk of, not knowing what to watch and being like, oh, I'm so sad. I'm not going to hear that music again for a little while until the rewatch happens again in, 6 months' time when I'm like, I want to watch The Office again. But I'll never feel that same feeling, when you watch a show for the first time and you're just watching it all unfold. You'll never feel that again because you're like, even if you forget some things, you're never going to feel that same feeling again of the unknown. I'm not going to go through everything, obviously, but I didn't like season 1 very much, and I was like, why is everyone has been telling me to watch The Office for so long, because I love Parks and Rec. I think that's why I was a little bit, hesitant to watch The Office, was like, I love Parks and Rec so much, is it just going to be too similar to Parks and Rec that I'm just not going to like it? And everyone was, hyping it up so much, I was kind of just being an ass and being a bit stubborn, being like, I'm not going to fucking watch it, because you're telling me to watch it. Pretty much. So, I think I've told this story before, but I was just kind of browsing Stan, which is an Australian streaming service. We have Netflix, but it's something like Hulu Plus or Hulu, whatever the fuck it's called. Anyway, so I was browsing Stan, I'm like, oh, there's The Office, and I was like, do I watch it? And I was like, It was a Sunday night, I had nothing to watch, I was like, I'll just put it on, watch the first episode. I'm like, this show is not great. I'm just really not digging this. I tweeted it out and everyone was like, oh my god. It was the most intense tweet I've ever put out, in the sense of, so many people jumped up on it and were saying the same thing. Just wait until about midway season 2 and then judge it. And then if you're not liking it by then, you won't like the show, pretty much. So I stuck it out and, man, everyone was right. By the time midway season 2 got into it, I was like, this show is fucking hilarious. And then I just started to oh my god, I was just on the cycle of I'm going to, binge the fucking shit out of this show. And that's exactly what I did for the last 3 weeks and 1 day. And I have fallen so in love with this show, the way it's written, to the way it's filmed, everything. I never thought I'd find a show that I love as much as I love Parks and Rec, but this takes the cake. It's like an equal playing field with Parks and Rec. If someone asked me what my all-time favorite show was, I would say these two are a tie. I can't decide out of these two. From the intro is just so I'm just ready to watch The Office, to the characters and to the actual if you actually break this show down and the actual heartwarming and deep moments they actually have on this show behind the comedy. It's hilarious. It has those touching moments. And all of the characters are so... I feel emotionally attached to every character, whether it's for good reasons or for bad. There was people I didn't like, people I loved, but I had an opinion on both. There's not too many shows other than what I can really... Parks and Rec and Veep are probably ones that I can put in the same kind of bubble of I have attachments to every one of these characters. And The Office is really different because so many characters come and go and you get new characters, and especially in the later seasons getting new characters is really whoa, when you get them in The Office. And I'll touch on a couple of things. I guess for anyone that hasn't watched The Office by now, I know it's 15 years old at this point, but spoilers, I guess I'll put it out there. Season 7, I was not expecting Michael to leave. And I cried in this show a few times. I thought it was a rib. I thought Michael isn't going to leave because I didn't know anything about this show. I honestly did not know anything other than Steve Carell. Steve Carell was the main star. That's all I knew about this show going into it for the most part. So when Michael left, he took off his little mic pack. Well, first and foremost, I thought, okay, something's going to happen. He's going to be like, I can't leave. I can't go be with Holly. But I think it was when he was at the airport and he took off his mic pack, got in that last little, that's what she said, and then Pam was hugging him and that, I was like, oh wow, this is really happening. Michael's leaving the show. I didn't know that happened. I was like, that was a really sad scene. I was really, into Jim and Pam. I shipped them all the way. I was just like, the moment that they first kissed in that in like season 2 or season 3 is just like so like amazing and lovely, and I'm like, yes, and their relationship is amazing. I guess I'll give you my little thoughts on the last couple of seasons without Michael was difficult. The show definitely dipped, but it was still really funny. There's still some really banging episodes in there, but season 9 was better than season 8. But it did definitely there was a different approach to the show. It made me kind of, in the middle there, I kind of started to dislike Andy when he took over and stuff like that. I love Nellie. I thought she was great. But yeah, it made me dislike Andy for a little bit, but that all kind of changed in the last few episodes. The last couple of episodes of The Office is fantastic. The singing from Andy with the, I Will Remember You, that stuff. I was like getting tears in my eyes for that. That was really, really sad. I'll talk about the finale in a minute. But some of my favorite characters from that show, Jim, Pam, are my 2 favorites. I love Angela. I think Angela's great. I'm a big Nellie fan. I liked Michael, but I knew, like, I wanted him there because it revolved kind of around Michael, but I wasn't really the biggest, like, Michael guy. Who else did I really like? Creed was hilarious. So was Meredith. Phyllis and Stanley's relationship in that show is something that's just like subtly happening in the background, and it's so freaking good. There's so many different things. I can't wait for in the 6 months time when I'm like, okay, I want to watch this show again, because I'm not really one to watch and then immediately rewatch. Like, I'll wait some time and let my kind of brain settle down from it so I forget some things. But I can't wait to watch this again and not be focusing on the main story of things and actually pick up on other things that are happening. But Phyllis and Stanley, I really do like a lot of people in that show. I just really thought that show was just fantastically written and fantastically produced and just everything about it. But the last season in particular, the stuff with Brian and Jim and Pam's relationship, you know how in a television show, I don't know if this is going to come across the way that I'm thinking about it, but I'll try and do my best to articulate what I mean. In a television show, when there's a couple, and they're dating, or they're married, or whatever, when they have problems, they make it really obvious that they're having these problems, and then there's a big thing, and then there's always the words of, I want a divorce, or I want to break up. What really struck me in that last season was watching Pam and Jim's relationship slowly crumble like a real marriage. Like a real couple. There was bits that just kind of built, and it was like the middle of that season, especially when that, thing happens, we're on their phone, and then Pam starts having a breakdown, and Brian's there and stuff like that. Like, I just was like, oh man, this is like gut-wrenching. Like, it was heartbreaking, because you've built that whole show, and my biggest takeaway, I think a lot of people's biggest takeaway was Pam and Jim's relationship was like a fairy tale. It was everything. She said it in that reunion thing in the final episode. But it was just watching it and was like, this is like they've documented it like as close to a real life marriage as you can. And then they start going to therapy, and then they kind of come to, and they're like, okay, and they kind of tease the stuff with Brian, like, was he in love with Pam, and was she in love? Whatever. But there was definitely issues there, and you kind of watch that, and like to see them just be like together and in love, because I was like, are they going to end this show on them not being together? But it was like, I'm glad they didn't go that route. The finale itself, I think, is probably I know I've only watched it 6 hours ago at this point, but I think that is the greatest, if not one of the greatest finales to a television show ever. I think it is one of the greatest television shows ever. And it's on par with Parks and Rec. And for anyone that knows me, I said this earlier, but nothing comes close to Parks and Rec. This is the only thing that is on the same level as Parks and Rec. So, I think I have a bigger attachment to Parks and Rec, but I think this is not necessarily I think it's my favorite. I think it's a better show in general. I just think that it will never be, duplicated or replicated. It'll never, that's just perfect casting. Everyone was just perfect in that show. I know there's a lot of things in this day and age, everything's like it's coming back or it's getting rebooted or a reunion. While I'd definitely watch it, same with Parks and Rec, I have the same mentality as I do on Parks and Rec, is that I really honestly deep down hope that these shows never have a reunion or a reboot, because they both had perfect endings, especially The Office. The way that show ends, if you see my Twitter, I put up a picture of me just like with tears, I was sobbing because it was so heartwarming. Like that final scene in the finale where they show the picture that Pam drew of Dunder Mifflin, and it's just so like touching, and it's like, holy shit, I've just spent the last 3 weeks and 1 day with these people, and that's all I've been doing other than watching wrestling, really, is just watching these characters unfold. It's just, I get really lost in entertainment because I think a little part of me wishes, especially when I was younger, I was like, I want to be on television, I want to be in these shows. What a fabulous time that would be. What a just glorious, wonderful time that would be. And I think a little part of me is still like that. I'm like, I get really invested in television. And I think these characters in The Office especially are very relatable people. I relate to these people and I can feel their emotions and stuff like that. Like, that last season was emotional. But just really, 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 just a fantastic show. One of the greatest, I think the greatest television show, sitcom, whatever you want to call it, in history. I love that style. That's why I fell in love with Parks and Rec. That's why I've fallen in love with The Office. I just think it's fantastic. And that's all I'm really going to talk about on this episode. Pocket Size Podcast, hey? I just really, 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 really loved The Office. And Petals Rama. So, on that note, please continue to rate this podcast 5 stars on iTunes. Leave a review. A like, share, and subscribe on YouTube. I have a contest going on until the 24th of February, or until I reach 200 subs on YouTube. If you go to Josh Robinson 00 on YouTube, just search it on YouTube or go to my Twitter and you'll find it. If you go to my pinned tweet that I have at the moment, should be a pinned tweet. If not, it'll be on my Twitter somewhere. I might even add it to the tweet for this Josh Robinson show. You can win a $25 gift card to Pro Wrestling Tees. It's available worldwide. Like I said, whether I get to 200 subs or the 24th of February, whichever comes first, it'll be selected randomly from there. So please make sure you do that. I'm trying to get as many subscribers as I can on YouTube, as I've been doing a lot of Josh plays. And there's some more things coming to my YouTube this year that you're going to want to be a part of, want to listen to, want to watch, want to interact with when it comes to my YouTube. So make sure you do that. And please be kind to one another. Until next Tuesday, I'll see you on the next one. See ya.